Hello everybody, this is Chuck G Violin back with another video. Our city is going broke, so we need to do a few things to address that. We're going to be doing some detailing, which certainly doesn't address the brokenness, but it looks pretty. We're also going to be working on some bike infrastructure and some mass transit, so please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get on with the show. Well, hello there. Welcome back, everybody. Chuck G Violin is here, and we're back with our as of yet unnamed county city build here. And today we're going to do a couple of things, well, three main things anyways. Number one is going to be some detailing. We're going to kind of make this a little bit prettier. Number two, we're going to do some transit. I'm going to tell you about some of the work I've done off camera to get that going. And then number three, we're going to start looking at bikes. And how we're going to implement some bike lanes and some bike infrastructure. That will help with traffic a little bit. Well, there goes my dog. He's barking at something. Anyway, let's start with the basics first. We're going to start with detailing. But before we do that, number one, please like and subscribe if this has been helpful to you at all. This is kind of a beginner city playthrough here. And subscribing, liking, and commenting help me a great bit, and help me help you get content that you want to see. Let's talk about what I've done off camera since our last encounter. We've added a little more industry over here. We kind of set up some little streets here, some road layout for some more industry. We've added a few higher density buildings here in an area that's going to be kind of more like a downtown. A big thing that we did is down here, we added another interchange. This is pretty simple diamond interchange. It's not designed to handle giant amounts of traffic, but it was put in to try to alleviate some of the traffic at this interchange up here, which is the only one. So we were getting a lot of traffic up here. Now we are getting less traffic up there because people who live over here can get off here and connect on through. So, and then I started with some rail infrastructure. So up here, this is our rail depot. Okay, it's a small rail depot. It only has to get like 8 trains. But it's good enough to get started. And the nice thing about having Anarchy, by the way, is that I can work outside of my tiles that I've bought. Some people might call that cheating. I call it playing kind of smart in terms of just wanting to get some infrastructure in here without waiting to have to unlock every single freaking tile to do it. So over here, we have branched off our, let's see, what is this? This is one of the train lines I created. It has 7 passengers, so, it's rocking. But I did branch off a train line here and bring it into my town. Here is the Terminus train station. It's called that because this is where the tracks end. This is it. End of the line, so to speak. So eventually I'm going to branch off again here, and we're going to come along the water line out because I want trains to come all the way out here. Okay, so that's essentially what I've done while you all were sleeping, so to speak. And as you can see, I've kind of gone broke doing it. We are still hemorrhaging money. I have the game on pause now because if I left it running, we'd be out of money before the video started. And so you can see, I mean, we're making some money. We got good service trade, service fees, taxes. I bumped up the taxes just a little bit, so everybody's paying 11% now. That will come down once we get into a situation where we're making some money. We do have some decent production, especially fish. But, we've got some production going here, and we've got surpluses in a lot of things. I'm surprised we don't have surpluses in concrete. What do we need? Stone. We've got plenty of stone. We don't have enough, maybe industry. I don't. Anyways, but we've got some surplus in most of our production. That's what we did last video. So this video, we're going to have to do something stupid, and that is we're going to have to take a loan. I generally do not like taking loans. Most of my playthroughs I do without doing that at all. However, in this case, because we are gonna want some transit, that means a bus station and a bus depot. Those things cost a lot of money, so we're going to be taking out a loan later to do that. So for now, let's get started with some detailing. And for me, detailing essentially means trees. Maybe some rocks, like along the shore. I would do some rocks. I might do some over here. We can also zone some stuff up here. We maybe put some office. I tried to do. We're really not having any demand for commercial, so I'm not able to zone any more commercial right now. But what I can do is I can begin our detailing. And for some reason, there is a gap here where there should be homes, and there are not. So first of all, we're going to move this guy just a little bit because he is awfully dang close to his backyard neighbor there. And then we're going to use Find It, which is a terrific mod that's down here. And we're going to plop a couple of houses. So we want buildings. Then we're going to go to filter. Filter low density homes. And we're going to filter low density, whatever. We're just going to grab whatever we got. And this is where we're wanting to probably be a little bit careful about size. Like, I'm going to turn off snapping because this thing's going to go right in here. That kind of fills a gap. I think we can put another small home right here. Let's get back. So we're looking at like a 2x2 or maybe a 3x3. Is 3x3 fit? Yeah, kind of it does. He's going to love living there right on the main road. So anyway, we've kind of fixed our lack of... We could put another... No, we really can't. Okay, so let's get some trees in here. This is a North American build. And it is a temperate North American build, even though the temperature really will never... I don't believe this map ever goes below freezing. Hard to say. I don't remember. But we're going to go to landscaping and trees. In order to do that, we're going to pick... I like 3 trees. And then various amounts of bushes. So, first off, we're going to click multiple... We're going to unclick this. I don't know. I just do. Make our brush a heck of a lot smaller. And then we choose 3 trees. Oak is my favorite because it is very large. Oh, we also want to click here because we want larger trees too. We're going to unclick that and just have... Now, I have Anarchy is turned off, so trees will not spawn right on top of each other. So I use oak, I use spruce, or pine, but I think spruce looks a little better. Put some of these in here. And then we're going to use this apple tree, which looks fantastic and gives a little bit of contrast in terms of color to what we're doing. Now I got some there. Let's see if we can do some here with that. And some here. Now you'll see wherever it conflicts, like here, it won't do it. So you need to start in an area where there is no conflict, and then it will spawn trees where it can. So now we're in here. We're going to put some trees individually. So now you see how, unfortunately, the collision distance between trees is really small. So you're not really able to put a lot of trees right on top of each other unless you turn on Anarchy, which I have just done. And a couple of these. In the fall, these apple trees are really pretty. They turn a really nice yellow. All right, so now we're going to spam some more trees along this cliffside because we hate it. Right. Boom. So now we've got, a neighborhood with trees, and that looks pretty nice. We're going to do the same thing next door. This looks so much better than what it looked like previously, as you can see. So, just adding a few trees really makes a lot of difference in what your city looks like. Now, if you want to go a step or three further, we can come down here and we can really get into some detailing. We could come down here. Now, I'd have to turn Anarchy on to do it. We can maybe do it out here. So we can come in here, and here's our park props. So we could put a gazebo. We do not want 1,000 gazebos. We want 1 gazebo. We're going to put one here. And we'll put another one here. I might put a house or something on the corner there. So there we got a couple of gazebos. We could put some benches. We can put, and this really is only going to come into play. See how I get those trails? Oh, come on. I might have my graphics settings a little too high. But anyway, here's a couple of benches, you could do a fountain if you wanted to. Let's see, where's my... Nope, wrong thing. Say you could put a fountain. You could put a big old giant fountain right here. You could put it right here. You could actually do this. We could do that, and then we can go to surfaces. We have one freaking surface, because I don't have any of my regular mods for surfaces installed. So, I don't really have cosmetic mods installed. But you could come in here. Let's say you wanted to make this all cement. You could do that, and then you could put some benches again. Using the right mouse button, hold that down, and you can rotate them as such. Cool beans. And what's a park without some food trucks? So we'll put one there. Not food trucks, but you know what I mean. And we'll put this guy over here. So that just gives everything a little bit more personality. This would be a fun place to live, would be right here. We got some commercial. Got some nice views of the water. The trees are kind of in the way, but hey, you know, neighbors like their privacy. Let's get some more trees in our park. I'm going to hand place these. And we're going to do, so I have this clicked, so it's going to give me a range, a random, you know, large, small. I'm going to turn Anarchy back on so I can put some of these near each other. So there. Now we've got a park with trees and some pathing and a fun place for people, you know, to be. Let's see if there's anybody hanging out in there. I've hit play. We're going to be completely negative in money any second. But it is what it is. So that looks pretty nice. Nobody's in our park yet. We don't have a lot of people living in our city, so, you know, we're going to continue to work on that. We need some more medium and some more low density. So there we are. We've got our kind of, you know, our rural neighborhoods nice and detailed up. It looks so much better. Just a few trees really adds a lot to this now. So, okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about transit. Every city, you know, regardless of the size, should have some way for their citizens to get around that isn't a taxi and isn't an Uber. So we need to look at that. We talked about road hierarchy. Well, transit has hierarchy as well. So here is like a commuter train. Okay, this is a train that this is, you know, kind of like the highway in terms of hierarchy. This is the highway of mass transit. This is train that goes from city to city like a highway would. Okay, it doesn't go into the neighborhoods. All right, that's going to be your tram or your subway. Subway also sometimes is called like metro train. All right, buses can do two things. Buses can get you from place to place within your city and can also go to the outside connections and go city to city. We will have both here. And then, of course, you know, your airplanes, you know, that's way down the road. And boats, that's also way down the road. So, in order to properly have this work, we've already done train. And so, here's our train station. Let's look at our transit tab. So, I have two train lines. One that is to each of the outside connections that have tracks. Now, these train lines I just put them in the other day, and I haven't really pressed play on the game. So we don't really have a lot of passengers as of yet. Okay, we've got some. If you go to the little magnifying glass, you can see like the ticket price. I've raised that from 8 to 12. You can assign a type of train. For some reason, I must not have. I thought I had. These are all, you know, Ghostbustered out because I can't afford any of them with the current. Yeah, I must not have the rail pack installed. I thought I did. Tygun's rail pack is wonderful. It's got some additional bridges, some additional tracks. It's got some smaller train depots. It's got some really great stuff in there. For some reason, I guess I don't have that, but I thought I did. Well, anyway, it's a great mod to have. So anyway, if you want to have a route, so okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk buses first. Okay. So in order to have buses, you need to have a bus depot. And I have a great spot for it right here. Before we do that, though, we got to come over here and get us some money. I don't want that much money. I think that's a good amount of money to go ahead and borrow. Yeah. Looks good. So now we got money. Most of what we're about to do is going to make money. So you're going to go down here to our transportation. This is train. This is bus. You need a bus depot or else you can have no buses. And bus depots require a road. And we're going to put this right. Actually, I don't know that we want to put it on the main. Do we want to put it on the main street? Yeah, this main street doesn't get as much traffic because nobody lives over here. So it's a great spot for it. We're going to go ahead and upgrade this number 1 to electric buses. And we're going to add an additional garage so that additional buses, we can have as many buses as we like, so to speak. All right, so that is done. Now we need to talk about routes. Where do we want our buses to go? We probably want intercity buses. We want buses that are going to go to the other places. And right now, we can only have one route because we only have one road that has an outside connection, and that's out there. We have 2 train outside connections, so we did that with the trains. All right. So in order to have kind of this outside connection, you really kind of need a bus station. And where better to put that, actually, than... Oh, we already have a bus. We have a bus station at the train station. Forgot about that. I added... There's a upgrade here for a bus terminal. So that's lovely because now that's a bus station as well as other stuff. But we don't want... You know, people are going to be coming by train from other cities. We're not going to have them also come by bus to the same location. We're going to have our bus terminal over here. And they've added some newer bus stations that are somewhat smaller. We could do small bus station. Bus station is a very large asset. Local bus station is also a pretty large friggin' asset. But the city bus station is much smaller. And I like it to go... Where do I like it? I think I like it to go right here. There's a parking lot right next to it. What is that? That's the hospital. That's cool. People could take the bus to the hospital like you would want to, but hey. And boom. Now, this also has an upgrade of parking. Ta-da. All right. So what else does it have? Subway. Well, we're not doing subway. Taxi stop. Sure, why not? Okay. We're flush with cash right now. I'm still on pause just because I don't want to lose tons of cash. I'm talking a lot more and playing a lot slower than I normally would if I was by myself just doing this. So I don't want to lose tons and tons of money just, you know, while I am talking your ear off. All right. So now you want to have a bus route. Bus routes are pretty easy. And the way we're going to do that is, I'll get zoomed in just a little more. We're going to go here. Here's the bus route tool. Or bus line, if you will. So you see all these? These are all the possible, you know, lines you could have come into this one station. So we're going to click on one of them. Then we're going to go all the way out here to our outside connection. There's 2 of them. So then we're going to click on that. And then we got to come back because it is a round trip dealio. And we're going to come back down here and it'll say complete route. Boom. All right. So now we have a bus route that goes outside of the city, and we'll come back to the city. And then you can go up here. You can go to, here's your bus lines. And you can call it different things. So I think that was that Sanford. I call that Sanford Direct. I'm going to change. I make all of my direct outside connections one color, and it's just easy to see. It's bright freaking green. So, and then you can also see how many buses are going to be assigned. We don't want that many. So 5 seems like a lot. We'll see if it gets, once we run the game, we'll see how much activity that bus line gets. But now people can get to the city by bus. And then this is still not, it's bugging me a little. There we go. Got to have 90 degrees, right? Right. The other type of bus lines you can have are within your city. And for me, I like to put, in order to do this, you have to put bus stops. Okay, you can do these. You can do like a little more, deluxe version of a bus stop. Or you can do, bicycle stand one. Bicycles is a whole other thing. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So I just put a bunch of these, unless we have a giant city. But I don't care enough about my citizens to give them shelter while they're waiting for the bus. What can I say? I'm a terrible mayor. So when you're placing these, let me get out of this. When you're placing these, you got to be a little careful because they have to be on the right side of the road. And by right side of the road, I don't just mean correct side of the road. It has to be, if you have right-hand traffic, assuming you have right-hand traffic in the United States, that's what we have, then you are going to need your bus stops on the right. The bus stops on the right. So, then you also need to put, bus stops where a lot of people live. Like you wouldn't put a ton of them, you wouldn't put any bus stops in the middle of this neighborhood. These people have cars. Okay, you might put 1 or 2 out over here. All right, but mostly you're going to, where there's more high density, that's where you're going to put your bus stops. And then you want to, as you're placing your bus stops, you want to, that's going to be your route, your line. So for this one, we are going to have this one get people to work. So we're going to put one here. And see how happy everyone is. We're going to put one here. We're going to continue down here. We're going to put one right here. And then we're going to put one right here. And right here. We'll put one in front of the hospital, of course. And then we're going to come over here. What is this? That's my bus depot. Duh. And we're going to put some stops in our industrial zones here. Remember, everything has to be on the right side if this is the direction you want your buses to go. Put one more here. And now, and I think one. Now that, I don't know why that conflicts, but guess what? That's what Anarchy is for. Boom. So let's remember where that bus was, where our first one was. It was down here. And we're going to make a route starting down here. All right. And that one, let's get into our tab again. Similar to what a lot of cities do. We're going to leave that the way it is, but we are going to call this industrial route, and we're going to make it yellow for industrial. Okay. Then the other thing we can do, and you want to be a little careful doing this. I don't know I have never seen what the effect is necessarily. I would think if you raise the price, I'm going to just make it $10. And then the outside connection one, we're going to make 12. Okie doke. We've got some more high density housing. I want to start getting some higher density housing in. The thing is I don't want giant buildings here. I want, decent sized buildings. So we're going to go here and we're going to pick what we pick. So obviously this is way too tall for the city that we have. So what we're looking for is we're going to be looking for smaller footprint buildings like 2x4 or whatever this is. And make sure that it is different than the buildings that are there already. That's about as tall as I want to go. So what I can also do is I can narrow this down by region pack. So let's go to NE, that is Northeast. I always call it New England for some reason. That's too tall. 3x3. That's a good size. We're going to put him right here. All right, so that's going to handle some of our higher density needs. And now let's get some more medium density in here. All right, this building needs to be moved a little. Thank you. Couple of things you want to also do in your city is we want to do bikes here eventually, but we're also going to do some pedestrian stuff. As a matter of fact, let's get a kind of a head start on this. I'm going to put a bike and pedestrian path right through here. And do we have room for another one here? We do not. All right. So I think we can do bikes. And that's going to be found. Bike parking is here, but regular bike paths are found in road services. So I think both sides bike lanes is good on this road. And also this one. Okay. How else do we want to do this? First of all, in order to really get a lot of people riding bikes, let me look really close here. We don't have bike parking at our school. Do we have it out front? We do not. So guess what? You want kids to ride their bikes to school? They got to park. Okay. Now, this main street here should also have bike lanes. And we'll go both ways on these. I'll go all the way here. And then I think this main road should also get bike lanes. And we will continue down here. Okay. So what we have now is a way to get here and there via bike. I'm going to make this with bike lanes as well. What this does, though, is this takes away street parking. So you kind of, you you're going to make some people unhappy, but at the same time, you're trying to get cars off the street. Okay. Now, you can also set up policies on, policies on where you can ride bikes in the street, or where you can ride bikes only on the bike paths, or where you can't ride bikes at all. And this is district-wide, is how this works. So let's create some districts. We haven't done that. So here's our district creation tool down here. And so first, we're going to do this. Okay. So now we have these districts. We're going to call this one downtown. Downtown what? I don't know. The rest of this is fine for now. So what we can say, we have bike lanes on this street. We have bike lanes on this street. That's fine. We should also put them on this one, because then I hate putting them over here, though. I think maybe only one way. So that there's still some street parking, but there's still some bike infrastructure. And then what we can do is we can say, so we can't put bike lanes on these alleys. So we could actually say, we could go in here, click on our district, and say, cyclists are prohibited. Basically, they can only be in the bike lanes. This here is a initiative to get more people to ride bikes. So we're going to do this one so they're not in the friggin' street. And we're just going to put a couple more bike lanes so that people aren't trapped. We're going to put only one here this way, and only one here this way, and one here this way, and here. And maybe here. Okay. So there's bike infrastructure now to where people are riding their bikes. And as you can see, look at there. Bike parking be full. Which means we need some more. You think we need one more? I think we need one more. So let's get some bike parking in. And I pretty much just use these. And I'm going to use these where there is, where there's a destination. So like that's going to be schools. That's going to be commercial. OMG, I cannot speak. These bike lanes are going to fill up in 2 seconds. That's the best part. Or the bike parking, rather, I should say. Yeah, the additional ones I added, already full. No, not yet. That's basically bikes. If you want bikes to occur, if you want people to ride bikes places, you have to have a place for them to park said bikes. So let's take a little bit of inventory of what we've done so far. We've done some detailing, which makes all the difference. There is so much more we could do detailing-wise. Okay, I mean, I could go around here and put fountains and surfaces, and I could download a bunch of mods, and there are some wonderful mods out there. With what they call decals, and these decals do everything from road wear to dirt on the side of buildings to graffiti that you can put on surfaces. plus all the different sand and, what we have in the vanilla game is not a lot. We have, what is this? Piers and quays. Yay. There's our bike. This is the only surface that we have. We don't even have beach. But we do have, these are industrial props that we can put. We have commercial props. We can put, vending machines. We can put stuff in people's backyards. We can put a pool if you want to. This is water source. So I may download a few of those mods for the next video. And show you some of that stuff. But what I basically have done is just trees and a few other things. Like I put this fountain here, and some benches and gazebos and stuff. I could come over here in my industrial area, and I could come down here, and I could just make this all, forget about the grass. There is no grass. We could just extend. You can grab this, and you can just extend this surface all the way out. I'm going to want a zone there, so let's not do that. But now I've really done it. Oops. There we go. Right-click to remove, but I will extend this surface this way. And with Anarchy turned on, you can overlap some things, and you're not going to get a lot of conflicts. But then I could come down here if I wanted to, and I could put some of my industrial props. I could put, some containers, offset them a little bit because, they wouldn't be exactly right angles. That's some pier stuff. What is this? I could put this like right here, and it's just like some manufacturing looking thing. I could put like that right here. What else we got? We got garbage. Put like a dumpster. What is that? Oh, so this stuff for piers. There's a shipping container kind of thing. That's going to be for your piers. What else we got? We got tons of stuff. We can put, piles of crates. We got cones. We got barrels. Cardboard. Countless things that we can put. All right, so again, let's review what we've done. We've added trees, and oh, ain't it nice. We did some transit. We got 2 bus lines going. We have one outside connection bus line and one within the city. Let's see how they're doing. Actually, are we okay on unemployment? Oh, yeah, it's way down. Good. Bus lines. Wow, look at how many citizens per month we are taking by bus. Okay, so that's lovely. We like this. Look at how many people. That's very good. That's revenue, and that is, that's a good thing. Train is not so much, but we are getting some folks coming in. So what we can do is actually, we're going to move this down. That's only 2 vehicles. This one is 5 vehicles. We want this one down. Okay, because we don't want as many vehicles if they're not being used, so that we can use them elsewise. Because eventually, like I said, this is going to come off of here and come down this way. Maybe we'll have like a city center down here, like a big like downtown. The problem is our industrial is blowing that way. So basically from this, from the highway north, so to speak, I don't even know if that is north, but that's another thing about this game that I kind of don't like is you don't know which way north is. There is an easy way to figure it out, and I'm going to show you that right now. If you want to know how to find north, south, east, west, first pause the game because this can mess some things up if the game's not paused. You're going to go here to your photo mode, time of day, and you're going to change that to like 17. Oops, no. So now the sun is lower in the sky, and there's west because the sun sets in the west. So That's so... I was right. This is north up here. Yay. Okay, we're going to cut it off now. We're up to almost 7,000 folks living here. We're getting better. You know, we are still losing lots and lots of money. However, we are getting better. It's in the correct, you know, this gap is starting to get closed. So that's good. And, you know, production, you know, we're starting to get a little more production. Services are still, we're going to have to eventually start bumping up the services. Uh-oh. Traffic. This is the same spot there was traffic before. I wonder why. We may need to do something with this intersection. There's always an emergency somewhere in there. Oh, there's an accident. Dumbass. Okay, anyways, I have rambled on long enough. Thank you all for watching, and if you are enjoying this series and you want to see more, please like and subscribe, comment, all of that happy jazz so that I can continue to do this and help you all learn this game. Take it easy. I'm out.